Hey guys, how's it going? So here's my trailer breakdown for the season 8 finale of Game of Thrones. I can't believe we're already here. We have one more episode left to this series. However this series is going to go, it's going to happen in a week from today. A week from today, we're all going to be talking about the finale and how it ends. And I definitely will have to do a video or two talking about the entire series, the week after the finale. Just talking about, does it make sense? Say certain characters end up on a throne, or if the throne gets destroyed, were there hints beforehand? Talking about, just overall, if certain things make sense. Did Jon's story make sense? Did Dany's story make sense? Or Tyrion's, you know what I mean? Anyways, before I jump in, I do have to warn you for spoilers for tonight's episode. I'm not sure what its title is. It's titled The Bells. I hate that they don't reveal the titles for every episode. They do it right afterwards. I guess because it is pretty spoilery, but yeah, if you guys know what the title is for episode 5, just post down below. I think it's The Bells, or is that the finale? Makes more sense for it to be episode 5. But there is absolutely nothing in this trailer. There literally is absolutely nothing in this trailer. It's hard to talk about what this trailer really means for the finale, and so I'm going to get my thoughts on it because it does obviously hint at a very, very specific narrative regarding Dany and her reign over the Seven Kingdoms, but I'm also going to combine that with some death predictions and other things that I do want to talk about and how I do see the series ending. First, though, we do have this shot of Jon and Davos. At least I believe it's them. I know it's Davos. I do think in the back we don't see Jon in any of the other shots. I'm assuming that they're both together because they're always together, right? And then we have Tyrion here in this shot, and I really can't wait to see his reaction to what happened to Jaime and Cersei, because he doesn't, in this shot here, he doesn't know what happened to them yet. I think he has a pretty good idea. He's looking at what happened to the Red Keep and everything, and it's there's no way Cersei survived that. Maybe Jaime did, I have no idea what happened, but I'm sure Tyrion, he doesn't feel good about it, and I can't wait for him to find out. That's going to be a very, very epic moment, and I really do believe that in this finale, we're going to see Tyrion and Jon versus Dany. It could even be Tyrion versus Jon versus Dany, but I really doubt that. I do think this is going to be the episode where Tyrion completely turns against Dany, because Tyrion for the last 2 seasons, he's been very, he does whatever he needs to survive for the most part. He never agreed with Joffrey as the king. He never agreed with Cersei as the queen or Tommen as the king. He never really wanted them to be there. He had issues with everything, and his family wanted him dead. And so, when he left, it was maybe I'll support this dragon queen and I'll be able to survive out here, and no Lannister will want me dead, right? That was basically why he supported Dany, because if she took the Iron Throne, her family and all of the allies of the Lannisters wouldn't want him dead, right? And so slowly with Tyrion, we've been building to something where he needs to pick a side. He needs to choose what's right for him, and I do think in the finale we're going to get that. I think he's going to completely turn against Dany and want her off the throne. They're hinting at it so much with Jon, Davos, even with Tyrion now, and Arya. Everyone is shocked at the destruction of what Dany did, because she didn't need to do that. She did it because she just was power hungry, and I've been seeing a lot of people getting really upset over what they did with Dany's character, but they've been building to this moment for a very, very long time with this series. Dany in season 2 had a lot of foreshadowing of this moment. Bran as well. I think it was in season 6, I believe, he saw, or maybe it was season 4, but he saw a dragon going over King's Landing. Everything that he saw is what we're getting in tonight's episode and in next week's episode. Also, the only reason Dany hasn't been like this before is because she's constantly had her advisors to protect her. Every time she went with her gut instinct, it always ended up being a bad decision. It was always her advisors that just calmed her down. It was always Jorah or Tyrion or what have you. You know what I mean? Whenever she did something on her own or made her own decision, for the most part anyways, it was always it was more in the way, I guess, that a traditional Targaryen would handle or deal with certain things. Just think of everything she did in Essos, right? When Tyrion couldn't stand up to Dany and say, don't kill the Tarleys, she didn't care. She just went and did it. I think season 7 even hinted at that a lot. She really is very emotional, and she's very impulsive, and she acts on that. And that's what we got in tonight's episode. Remember, with Game of Thrones, no one is the ultimate villain. There obviously is villains like Ramsay and Joffrey. They're villains. But Cersei and Dany, obviously I do think Cersei is more of a villain than Dany, but villains, at least good villains anyways, you should at least be able to see why they're making the choices that they're making and also see their point, And with Dany, it's very tragic. Just think of everything that she came from. King's Landing, her family built this place. It was taken from her. She was shipped off to Essos, forced to live there. Her whole entire life, like Viserys was talking about taking this place. Like her life is just very tragic. Like it really is the perfect setup for a villain. We then get this shot here of Arya, and she's back now, and everyone again, like they're just really completely just like amazed at what Daenerys did. Not in like a good way, obviously. They're shocked. Like this is what Aegon's conquering must have looked like. I guess on the show it was like 300 years ago, right? Which I also want to talk about, because in this shot here we see all the Unsullied, and I'm guessing on the ground that is just ash. I don't think Winter's actually come here to King's Landing. The whole thing about Winter and if it's actually arrived and all of that, I do find it's a little weird. I don't know if it just went away because the White Walkers were dealt with, or if it's still coming and this is what we're seeing here, but I'm pretty sure this is just ash and it's just a buildup of a ton of ash, which I'm wondering if this was like metaphorically or a little more poetically, if this is what Ned Stark meant by Winter is coming. Obviously he didn't technically mean this, but the ash does look like snow. This ties to that scene with Dany back in season 2. Just by this shot here of Dany, like she's now the queen of the Seven Kingdoms. Like this, you could argue this is what the Long Night would look like, right? I still overall think the White Walkers were obviously meant to be the Long Night. I do think that threat and the White Walkers and the Night King and all of that, I think it still should have mattered more. But when you see this kind of thing, it's like, man, a lot of people were underestimating Dany. Like she really is the ultimate villain. And I think just this shot right here, this is what it meant when Daenerys Targaryen crossed the sea and entered Westeros. She was going to do exactly this. This is something we've been talking about for years and years now, ever since the series began, that when she crossed with those dragons, that this is what was going to happen to King's Landing. Honestly, I don't know why people are shocked at this. I do think there's a lot of people who are just like general or genuine, Targaryen or Dany supporters and really wanted her on that throne, which they did technically get, but not in a villain way. But this was always going to happen. I do think this is exactly what's going to happen in George R. R. Martin's books. I don't think this is different. And so yeah, I do think overall, I'm just going to get my predictions now for the very, very end. I guess to start with death predictions, who do I think is going to die? I don't think any of the Starks are going to die. I think all of the Starks are safe. Now, I do see Dany dying for sure. I don't see her surviving this. She's killed too many innocent people. I think she's in too far. There's no way that she's going to just completely forget about the throne and leave and go back to Essos, and that's the end of her story. There's also no way she's going to be able to sit on that throne and everyone just be happy about it. There's no way. After what happened in tonight's episode, most of the Seven Kingdoms won't stand for it. Sansa's not going to. They're all going to hate her on that throne. This is why no one wanted a Targaryen on the throne. So I see her dying. I think it's going to be tragic, but I do think her quest for power, which has been there from season 1, I think that is the reason that she's going to die. It's because she wanted that throne. I do hope we get a shot with her on the throne, though. I want to see that full scene. I think it's going to be really amazing. But yeah, I do see her being a death for sure. Now, another character that I'm hoping won't die is Tyrion. And the reason why I'm hoping he's not going to die is because I just think it would be a very sad way for him to die. But it is also sad that Dany's dying too, right? Or that I do think she's likely going to die and that she did overall become the villain. And so as much as a lot of people are angry with Dany right now for what she did, and if someone kills her, it would be justified because of all the deaths that she caused, right? It's still overall tragic. And I do think killing Tyrion would be the same thing. It would be tragic. And I'm wondering if Dany's actually going to kill Tyrion. And the reason is because he did free Jaime in tonight's episode. Now, I don't know if they're ever going to come back to that because that happened pretty early on, but she could have found out. Not even that, if Tyrion does something, in relation to finding out about Jaime's death or Cersei's death, if he freaks out or does something different there, Dany might burn him. Like, it could be just as simple as that. As for any of the other characters, I don't really know. Like, that's kind of the weird thing about the ending. I don't think this final episode is going to have a lot of deaths. I do think there's going to be big deaths. Obviously, I do think Dany's going to be a big death, but I don't think there's going to be a lot of deaths. I do think the final act of the story is going to wrap up who is sitting on that throne. And as of now, I don't know who's going to be on this throne. I can't answer that question. I just don't. I don't think Jon's going to be on the throne. I know Dany's not going to be on the throne. Maybe Tyrion's on the throne, but then again, that's another Lannister on the throne. That can't really happen. I don't really know who's going to be on the throne, but I know for sure Dany's not going to be on the throne. And Jon, I just keep thinking about that shot in episode 3, or I guess it was episode 4, where he left Tormund, Ghost, Sam, and Gilly, and they're having a baby. He was leaving the north. He was leaving himself behind to come down south. And I just think it would be a disservice to Jon as a character if he became Aegon Targaryen and became the king of the Seven Kingdoms, you know what I mean? Honestly, he should have been the one to kill the Night King and just stay up north. Like, I think that would have been the best story for him. But to become a king, I really don't see that happening. And so do they destroy the throne? You know what I mean? Like, if Dany dies by the hands of, I don't know, Tyrion or Jon or Davos or someone there, what happens to Grey Worm? What happens to all the Unsullied and all the Dothraki? Are they going to stand by that? This is where shit gets really, really tricky. I don't know what's going to happen with it. It's very, very just chaotic right now in King's Landing. This trailer gave us nothing. It's just a lot of people reacting to the aftermath of the Mad Queen going really insane. All I know is that every shot in this trailer looks like it's actually winter now. So in that sense, I'm kind of happy because I've been complaining for a long time that we never got to see winter in King's Landing. And I know it's not technically winter, it's just ash everywhere, but you know, it's the same thing. But post your thoughts down below, post your predictions for next week's episode. What do you think is going to happen in the finale? Who's going to get on that throne? Who do you think is going to die? Hope you guys all enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching.